I want to bring in right now Matthew "Whiz" Buckley. He is a decorated former Navy fight pilot and a Top Gun graduate. Great to have you here, especially to talk about this. So, two big issues, I think, came out today. Bad altitude, bad communication, right?
Absolutely, Jesse, you nailed it. Thanks for having me. All of those things are very tactical. Let's go up to the strategic level. There is only one reason this mishap occurred, and it's the failure of the pilot in command, in this case, the instructor pilot, to have eyeballs out of the cockpit. Jesse, day one of Navy flight training, I think a crusty old instructor told me, don't hit anything airborne or attached to the ground. Especially, us aviators call that airspace around Reagan and DC the Battle of Britain. There are airplanes everywhere and helicopters everywhere. So the NTSB kind of dug into the weeds today, talking about altimeters and the route and the altitude. Those are all links in a chain, but the ultimate link in the chain, Jesse, is a failure of the instructor pilot, in this case, to not hit something.
And I want to talk about that because one Army pilot told the NTSB that he was surprised air traffic controllers didn't tell the Black Hawk to pause until the passenger plane landed. Is that strange? Is that standard practice?
So Jesse, some ATC dominoes here. The air traffic controller, first of all, was understaffed, right? They sent somebody home, apparently, and this guy was working two jobs, so to speak. Army helicopter on a military radio, civilian on a civilian radio. So he's talking on two separate radios. The Army helicopter said, hey, we have the RJ in sight. We're gonna pass behind him, type of thing. But guess what happened? I've never been to air traffic control school, Jesse, but I can tell you, they probably tell you if there's two contacts going at each other, co-altitude, and you can hear it on the one ATC tape, Jesse, a collision alarm. Even if that pilot said, yeah, I have that aircraft in sight, we call it a sugar call. He should have come back up and said, hey, Pat 25, confirm you have traffic level on your nose for half a mile, acknowledge. Yeah. I guarantee you both them in that cockpit would have sat up straight and said, oh, no, and made an invasive maneuver.
Yeah, and what about this idea that the NTSB found that this Black Hawk, which was an older model, it had issues with its location transmission system, and just to add that on to the issues that we're talking about here?
Yeah, Jesse, so the barometric altimeter was off by maybe 100 feet, not to frighten people, but that's kind of within the tolerance of some altimeters. But when you're dealing with 70 feet in this case, you have got to be at or below your altitude. They were clearly flying above your altitude. Jesse, aviation's a self-cleaning oven. If everybody did their job that night, this mishap didn't occur. But a bunch 100%. Of links in the chain caused this. The pilot in command of that helo, air traffic control, a lot of dominoes here. But Jesse, as a result of these mishaps, we learn what happened. Everybody sits up straight, and we start making sure that something like this never happens.
And you hear the families who are left behind after this. Real quick before I let you go, just so people understand, we're looking at the new surveillance video. It shows the moment of that impact. If you're in that cockpit, at what point would you actually be able to see the plane?
Well, Jesse, it appears that the RJ pilots actually saw them at the last moment. They pulled back on the control yoke. They actually did have a command in there. They saw, and they shouldn't have been looking out for that aircraft. Their gear down, their flaps down, they're in landing mode. There's people in the back probably calling their Uber, texting their families to pick me up in baggage claim. They're in the landing environment. They did not expect this helo to appear out of the blue. The helo pilots, man, that thing is a half a tennis court right in front of you, and you didn't see it. Absolute failure on the Army pilot's part.
Unbelievable. Matthew "Whiz" Buckley, thank you so much for coming on and breaking it down for us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.